why on earth am I outside in the beautiful city of Zurich? Well, Straight 4 have been brewing up a brand new racing simulator known as Project Motor Racing. And in all their wisdom, they've decided to invite me along to check it out for an exclusive first impressions. Of course, I wouldn't be here without all your despair and misery, and you all clicking the subscribe button and also clicking that like button. I really appreciate it, and it is nice to visit places that are marginally, fractionally better than Birmingham. It's a close call though.
This is the German.
Okay guys, we finally made it to Racing Unleashed, where this press event for the new Project Motor Racing is taking place. Let's go on inside and let's see what's going on here. So on the left we have the Racing Unleashed simulators with their triple screen setups. These ones are just set up for us to look at. We're not allowed to touch those, but over here in the corner we have a nice poster here, but more importantly, we have 3 rigs set up here with some rather nice vintage cars on them for us to be able to actually try and drive the simulator. So we're going to jump onto one of these rigs and I'm going to give you a first impressions of what to look out for.
Upon elegantly entering the simulator, here's some Project Motor Racing facts. In the simulator, there's expected to be 70 plus race cars, no road car rubbish, across 10 iconic classes from today's modern LMDHs and GT3s to much more exciting vintage cars. 27 tracks from around the world, single player career and online racing modes. Let's hope one of those modes is proper ranked racing. On the tech side, it's a brand new physics engine called the Hadron physics engine, which uses a finite element tyre simulator, 720 Hz for the physics engine, 10,000 Hz for the 2D contact patch, lots of high numbers, lots of Hz. It could mean a lot, it could mean nothing. All that matters is how well it actually drives. Lastly, and most importantly of all, the force feedback is driven from the tie rod, which is supposedly going to give us highly detailed feedback that provides nuanced handling feel and information for the driver. Well, we'll be the judge of that as we jump in for our first impressions.
Out the pit we go. I'm a little bit squashed in this rig, but we'll make do. And right, straight away, this car is set up with quite a lot of understeer. Throttle negating it a bit, but yeah, generally understeery. Unfortunately, we can't change any settings, but despite that, this is really, really controllable. Obviously, this is Lime Rock Park, and we are able to try and just push it straight away. We haven't done a weirdo insta-bin, so that's always a good sign. And yes, we have to be very careful on the brake. Very forwards brake bias, I believe, because we have some pigeons. They were either leaves or pigeons flying in the face, I'm not quite sure. But straight away out of the pit lane, car seems really nice and controllable. Really predictable. We're getting, I'd say, reasonable force feedback feel for where the, of course I'm going to spin as soon as I say that. Reasonable force feedback feel for the for where the grip is. I think it could be a little bit more detailed though for the absolute transition from grip to on the limit to slip. But the actual very forgiving handling, I'd say, in a sense, this is a little bit reminiscent of. I want to say a bit like Project Cars 2, sort of Automobilista, but it's not as sloppy. And actually, this feels tighter than even LMU, I'd say. In terms of the, this is a vintage, but an older car. In terms of the way the grip's coming and going, it's actually coming and going quicker than R Factor 2. Like, there's a really nice bit of like megabyte quite a lot of grip, and then as you sort of push onto the tyres, you've got this, then you've got the slip. But that slip's not like washing us out completely, like the car's still quite pliable. And it's responding nice on the throttle. We're not having any mega slip slop. So it's really interesting actually. I'm kind of getting absolute first impressions for those of you at home who are like, oh, what's it like? I'm getting like a weird mishmash between if you were to mix Project Cars 2 with R-Factor 2, that kind of thing. It definitely doesn't feel like AC1 or ACC. It's nice, it's quite nice, and it's just controllable and comfortable to drive. Like I'm not having to overthink the driving. It'll be really interesting to see what the meta with this is in terms of what's actually faster. If like throwing it into a slide gets a quicker lap time, or if being smooth is faster. So unfortunately, because the brake bias is so far forwards, I'm not being able to rotate the car on the brake how I'd want to. Once we're in the corner though, the response on the throttle is quite nice, and you can, what I am noticing is you can sort of set the car up into a bit of a slide, like you can initiate a slide, like momentum, almost Scandi flick the car a little bit, and then once you've overcome that initial grip of the tyre, then use the throttle to push the car around more. So it's quite a playful physics engine actually. So regardless of if it's realistic or not, it actually has quite a nice little play to it. I think it's gonna be really fun to just drive different vehicles in this. Now, again, before we talk about the force feedback a bit more, just look at the grass here. Obviously, this is using the Giants engine, and Farm Sim heritage means that this has glorious grass. So I think they've actually done their own grass. But look at those blades that are shadowed and properly trim all the way into the distance. You probably can't see it that clearly on the video, but the grass in this is phenomenal. So already a 10 out of 10 game. Forget the physics, forget everything. The grass is fantastic. I'm impressed. That's out of the way. The audio from these headsets aren't the nicest quality of headsets, but the audio, I don't know, probably sounds terrible for you guys, but because we've just stuck a microphone in the headset. But for me, the audio seems reasonably nice and lines up. There we go, we put two wheels on the curb, and that pushed the back of the car around. So you do have to be careful with the curbing on this. And I have noticed as well actually, if you are braking quite aggressive, despite I think the brake bar's being quite far forwards, the back of the car is quite eager to rotate in some ways, particularly at low speed actually. Once you're at speed, things are a lot more stable. Really audible car skid sound though, so you can really tell that you're pushing the tyres. So I think it's quite nice. Personally, I'd rather have exaggerated skid sounds than what you might hear in a real car helmet, as it's a really good reference to drive from. Look at this, we can give it some welly. So you can really overdrive this if you want, and then hold those slides. But, okay. Crucially though, when you're not on the grass, beautiful grass that it is, when you catch the slides, even with this older car, the grip does return quickly. So it seems to have like quite a peaky initial grip. Then it goes into like the phase where you've got this sort of slip, then the grip returns quite quickly, which I think is quite satisfying and something that's a bit lacking from other sims. Like when you play LMU, which I really love, don't get me wrong, I find that the grip in that simulator is kind of a bit, it's like a bit of a smooth curve to how it loses the grip and returns. So it's not bad, I still really like it, but this feels a little bit more pokey than LMU. And a little bit more, in terms of the grip coming and going, this feels more dynamic and active than the original Assetto Corsa, but this doesn't seem at this point in time to have the force feedback detail, and maybe not quite the precision of the original AC, but I don't think it really matters actually. This is nice to drive. This is actually nice to drive. I think if this was the physics in the release game, and you've got the triple screen, and maybe they're going to do VR in the future, we don't know yet, but you've got the triple screen, you've got these nice vintage cars as opposed to just bloody GT3. They have got GT3 cars in this as well, but if they've got all these really nice cars that are fun to just balance and dart around the track, and pigeons, and beautiful grass, I mean, I'm happy. I'm fed up of GT3, guys. Vintage GT cars are so much better. So it's going to be super interesting to see what netcode and stuff is like with this. But this sim has come out of nowhere, built on top of Farm Sim engine, but it turns out that maybe that's what was needed. Maybe sim racers shouldn't have ignored farm simulators. They should have focused on the Farm Sim engines. Obviously, they've done their own physics engine to this, and they'll be doing their own thing with it. But yeah, I have to say, first impressions with driving this, really interesting, fun to drive, and I think that's the main thing. Who cares if it's realistic or not? I think this is actually just fun to drive. So far too positive. I'm sure we could think of some negatives. Oh, the frame rate on this demo is a little bit low. There you go. But other than that, I am super optimistic for this. Oh, okay.
So, from out of nowhere, a new and really interesting racing simulator. And I have to say, I am pretty excited for the vintage cars especially, and it does seem, though this will have modern GT3 cars in it and hypercars, that the focus of this is just racing passion going back through the ages. And at this event there were some random people from Lola there that you wouldn't recognise. Check out Overtake's interview. But the point is that they're working seriously with car companies and talking to the dev team and looking at the decisions that they've made with this title so far. You really do get a sense that the focus is on the raw driving experience, the force feedback, the feel of the cars, pushing them to the limit, balancing them at the limit, and then offering you vehicles that are a little bit more exciting than what we have been having recently in many of the simulators. This could be a well-needed antidote to what has been quite a dull sim racing space recently. As always, I feel very fortunate to be able to attend events like this, even if it means that I sadly have to bump into people like Champion Joe, random call signer Mikael from Overtake. But then again, nothing can be perfect, can it? Now, you can pre-order the game now. We have a link for that pre-order. As a result of us having a link for the pre-order, you can't trust anything I've said in this video. And I would say, personally, that I wouldn't pre-order anything. I'd wait till it comes out. But if you're impulsive and have poor decision making skills and want to support us, use our link. It's much appreciated. Gamer Muscle, reporting from Zurich.
Each of these padlocks is for a sim racer that has been wrecked at T1 on the various racetracks and in the various online ranked racing. As you can see, you know, there's been a lot and a lot of sadness, but it's nice that they can come here to Zurich and commiserate their waste of time sim racing. The padlock, of course, representative of the trap that is sim racing. Beautiful monument in central Zurich for sim racers. Much appreciated.